The principle of sufficient reason, PSR, states that for everything there is a reason why it is so and not otherwise. It is the apex principle of rational explanation. You won't get far with the PSR if you listen to the academic community. Universities are distinctly hostile to the PSR. They reject it. Which means, of course, that they are irrational. Reality is either rational or irrational. If it's rational, the PSR controls reality. If reality isn't rational, on what basis is it possible to understand it? Whatever understanding you come up with will be irrational, by definition. Of what value are irrational answers? The PSR is the rational replacement for God. Believers never ask what God is made of. The PSR is made of mathematics. The PSR, ontologically, is the total collection of all monadic mathematical minds, and everything those minds do. Every mind has a sufficient reason for everything it does. It may not be a good reason. It will very rarely be the best reason. But it's a reason all the same. The PSR is literally built into every monad, and conveyed by them. The PSR is ontological mathematics, and ontological mathematics explains everything. The PSR is encoded in ontological mathematics, and thus ensures that everything has a sufficient reason since ontological mathematics is in everything and is everything. Nothing causes mathematics. Mathematics is eternal. Mathematics is the eternal, necessary system that provides the causal explanations for all temporal, contingent phenomena, those studied by science. Leibniz wrote, "But true reasoning depends on necessary or eternal truths, like the truths of logic, numbers and geometry, which make the connection of ideas indubitable, and the sequences inevitable." Thus the sufficient reason, which needs no further reason, must be outside this series of contingent things, and must lie in a substance which is the cause of this series, or which is a being that bears the reason of its existence within itself. Otherwise we should still not have a sufficient reason, with which we could stop. And this final reason is called God. For the dominant unity of the universe not only rules the world, but also constructs or makes it. And it is higher than the world and, if I may so put it, extra mundane. It is thus the ultimate reason of things. For since in the series a reason cannot be found, as I have shown above, but must be sought in metaphysical necessities or eternal truths. Since, too, existent things cannot come into being except from existent things, as I have explained previously, it follows that eternal truths must have their existence in some subject which is absolutely or metaphysically necessary, that is in God, through whom these truths, which would otherwise be imaginary, to use a barbarous but expressive word, realized. In a word, the only knowledge which can make us perfect is the knowledge of reasons in themselves, or of eternal and necessary truths, especially those truths which are most comprehensive and which bear most relation to the sovereign being. Things eternal may have no cause of existence, yet a reason for their existence must be conceived. Such a reason is, for immutable things, their very necessity or essence. While in the series of changing things, even though this series itself may be supposed a priori to be eternal, this reason would consist in the very prevailing of inclinations. For in this case reasons do not necessitate, that is, operate with absolute or metaphysical necessity, so that the contrary would imply contradiction, but only incline. Hence it is evident that even by supposing the world to be eternal, the recourse to an ultimate cause of the universe beyond this world, that is, to God, cannot be avoided. The reasons, sufficient, full, complete, for the world are therefore concealed in some entity outside the world. Thus we must pass from the physical or hypothetical necessity, which determines the later states of the world by the earlier, to something endowed with absolute or metaphysical necessity, for which no reason can be given. For the actually existing world is necessary only physically or hypothetically, but not absolutely or metaphysically. Since therefore the ultimate root of the world must be something which exists of metaphysical necessity, and since furthermore the reason for any existent can be only another existent, it follows that a unique entity must exist of metaphysical necessity, that is, there is a being whose essence implies existence. Hence there exists a being which is different from the plurality of beings, that is, from the world. For it has been granted and proved that the world does not exist of metaphysical necessity. The task with the PSR is to rewrite Leibniz's The Ultimate Origin of Things, by replacing God with the PSR and the monads with the constituent sinusoidal waves that are rationally justified and mandated by the PSR. You don't move from the PSR to ontology. The PSR is ontology. It provides the reason for eternal existence. There is no need to go from the PSR to theories of explanation and causation. With the PSR, we justify mathematics as an ontology. With ontological mathematics, we provide all causal explanations, i.e., math replaces science. As soon as you move away from mathematics, you are in the domain of man-made philosophical musings and modeling. All philosophers are wrong because they don't use math properly. The rationalist philosophers are the best philosophers because their philosophies are closest to mathematics. The task is to get everyone on Earth to grasp that existence is rational, intelligible and has an answer solely if it is derived from something 100% rational, i.e., the PSR that exists as mathematics. If existence does not come from a rational source, then it is irrational, unintelligible, and you can provide whatever answer you like. Why would the source of reality be irrational? How can a universe be constructed from irrationality? Idealism is a philosophy derived from mathematical monads. So is rationalism. We need to recast everything in mathematical terms. We need to replace scientific materialism and empiricism with ontological mathematical idealism and rationalism. And that will transform humanity. It's what humanity has been waiting for.